Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Mhuwe, 17, Fall 2015. Spend Saturday morning eating pumpkin pie and apple cider for breakfast while watching college football with my old man. Get a call from my friend in high school. We decide to head to the park for a bit before we go see his GF in a musical. Go to park, toss the baseball around, explore. Get high, etc. Bright blue sky, no clouds, crisp fall breeze. Leaves everywhere, a beautiful sight. Go to show. It's shit, but all the high school QTs are in it. Get one's number. She meets us at the local dinner after the show. Get burgers and milkshakes. Real fun to talk to. We all decide to go to a local haunted house and hayride place. She gets spooked on the hayride and jumps onto me. My 17-year-old slightly chubby unkempt face was so red. We all decide to go home. After everyone has been dropped off, it's just me and my bro. We talk all the way home through the dark roads about the good times and bad we've been through. Agree to meet up next week for the same thing. Go inside. Pops is watching the end of a Notre Dame game while Mom is upstairs reading. Go to bed. Look out window with my cat fast asleep on the ledge. The moon is peering through the trees as I hear the leaves rustling around. Smile and drift off. One of those perfect days I miss bros. Never saw that girl again, but keep in touch with my bro to this day. Pick related. I lived in Delaware.
I was in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and I found this random-ass little cove off the Atlantic Ocean, and I went for a sunrise swim, and a whole pod of dolphins came out of nowhere and surrounded me. I haven't talked about this to anyone because it's the kind of stuff I make fun of people for, but I could swear these dolphins were talking to me in my head, but with feelings instead of words. They made me feel safe and that they were only curious and wanted to play. It was a very positive experience. I get back to the beach house and my wallet is missing. I was wearing a pair of shorts that had 2 sets of back pockets and I didn't check the other set. So I realized when I couldn't find my wallet that it was in the ocean. Fast forward 6 weeks and I get a call from a little old lady in Florida that she found my wallet washed up on the beach, and she found my emergency contact card in the wallet with my landline number. She took everything out and dried it out and mailed it all back to me. Nothing was missing at all. Dolphins made me feel safe and stole my wallet and took it along their migratory pattern to Florida.
Mhuwe, 16. Parents don't care about me staying out. Friend and I go out for a ride, 2 a.m. We're cruising the Brandywine Valley of southeastern Pennsylvania. Friend gets to 4-way in the middle of nowhere. Looks at me and says,
"Ever been down the Devil's Road?"
I nod, and he turns right down this weird road. Tells me the legend of the KKK. Inbred DuPont kids, guardians of the cult house, etc. I like stuff like that. So we explore. Shows me a baby tree, where a kid died apparently. As we're heading down the road, friend says there's a truck that follows people down the road at night. I laugh it off. We joke and eventually go home. 8 weeks later. Tell friends from school about it and they're curious. Friday night we decide 2 vehicles will go down the road. I pick up a mate. Other friends pile in car number 2. We head down to the road. I practice driving on the road, so I floor it. Friends fall behind. I manage to make it to end of the road, turn around, and wait. Friend calls.
"How'd you guys get behind us?"
I drive an old pickup truck and remember the story. I tell him to keep driving and it's not us. He nopes the hell out. I see friend coming down the road doing 45 to 50. It's a 15 miles per hour road and he's beeping and flicking his lights. I get ready to follow him to Cossart Township. And a truck with no lights is on his bumper. Other friend in the car is talking to other friend in car too, saying they're gonna lose it if this asshole doesn't leave. I turn on my high beams and follow them. Top speed was 80 miles per hour before my friend took a left and the truck went right. We pull over, and my friend is scared. He says the asshat ran his bumper and he hit the guardrail. Sure enough, there was a big ass scratch down the side. I tell him to get in my car. Friend 4 will drive it back down the road. We start heading back down toward Delaware and I look in my mirror. Here comes asshat. I floor it, doing about 90 in a 2007 Ford Escape. The truck is keeping close tabs. As we reach end of the road, I slam on brakes and run into a ditch intentionally. Asshat keeps going with lights off. As we get a grip on things, friend says he needs a smoke. As all 6 of us are standing there, the truck comes back with a spotlight on. I nope out and leave. Friend followed soon after. Not my picture, but it is the road. Last week, work up in the region now. Approach that 4-way. I decided to take a joyride down the road. About halfway down, notice an empty car. Slow down and proceed. Nothing too weird. 3/4 of the way down, notice a light coming up behind me. Old truck. Keep my pace and hope he goes around me. No point in crashing a car because of spoopy skeletons. Truck swerves around and in the back, I kid you not, is a cross. I follow the truck somewhat close. About 800 yards or so behind, truck goes flying into a field at the end of the road where the ditch I stopped at was. He heads into the field and sitting at a cattle gate is a red and white 1995 Ford pickup. The same one from 2 years ago. I stop momentarily, then keep going. Route 52, Greenville. I'm sitting at a red light. Behind me pulls up a red and white Ford pickup. I begin to, nope, but hold it together. As I was heading home, a truck pulled up next to me on Delaware 141, 2-lane road. Tinted windows, just pacing alongside me. I try my best to avoid him, but he follows. Eventually call a friend up and ask if he's home. I head over to his place. Friend has an impressive arsenal of pure Murica in his living room. Truck was stuck at a red light before me, so I gained ground. I ran into a friend's house and he's already got some Murica waiting by the door. 30 seconds pass and the truck pulls up. We get ready for some psycho to pop out. Just sits there, waits, and moves on. I slept over at my friend's house that night, and I've been tempted to mess around more, but never followed through. Delaware, Pennsylvania has some creepy stuff.
Hey. Not usually on /x/, but quarantine has brought me back to 4chan for the past week. I am a pretty average guy, and not much exciting has happened in my life. However, there is a story I tell regularly when the topic of the most paranormal or otherworldly comes up. This is a UFO story that I promise is not exaggerated. Summer 2011. Around 10:30 p.m. Friend and I are coming back from girls' small get-together. Development was in the sticks, talking farms for days. Driving back home, trying not to hit any deer. Friend says he sees something moving in the sky. I remand the idea by saying it's a star. He insists this thing ain't normal. No one on the road for miles, so I stop and look. This thing is moving up, down, left, and right erratically, and it seems to be trackable. It eventually stops. Ash Ketchum hat turn. We speed up the road making sure it doesn't zoom off. I turned my lights off because I drove about 10 feet into a farmer's land. I had a 96 Ford Mustang at the time and didn't want to get stuck. It is hovering about 500 feet away from about 25 degrees of our position. Can see the bottom pretty well. Triangular, with 3 bright lights on each corner. A faint, and much smaller red light in the center. Due to our position and the lack of light in this area, I can't see much else. We gaze in awe for about 30 seconds before the central red light blinks, and small objects fall out of it. Immediately afterwards it darts directly towards the atmosphere at speeds I cannot even try to estimate. Still visible as just a bright light. Erratically moves again for less than 5 seconds. Eventually flies from our sights. That's about it. My friend and I talk about it to this day. Have had other friends layer in depth with rumors, like that there is an aviation testing facility out in those boonies. Townsend, Delaware, if anyone is wondering about locations.
Not paranormal but weird considering I didn't have an explanation for it at the time. Driving with husband all the way from Louisiana to Delaware. 28-hour drive. We're on day 2. It's 11 p.m. We're tired as all hell but we're almost in Dover finally. Slow down and get off the highway to some back roads around some what we think is a residential area. We're expecting some sort of large metropolitan area by now but all we can see are patches of woods and houses spread out in the middle of nowhere. We drive onto a road that is actually called Slaughter Street. On Slaughter Street, there are a load of gravestones dating as far back as the 1800s. Something large and reflective is coming up further ahead. Its lights aren't on. It's not a car. It's going far below the speed limit. The only way we can make it out is by the blood-red smudges of our own headlights bouncing off the reflectors. As we get closer, our headlights illuminate more of the mystery box, and we can just barely make out the shining coat of a horse's ass. It's a horse and buggy. We pass it. It's full of bewildered people in petticoats and overalls and bonnets. We later discovered that Dover has a very large integrated Amish population. MFWIC Amish people shop at Walmart. MFWIC Amish people eat at Burger King. MFWIC an Amish woman pumping gas into her Dodge Ram.
Hello, X. I would like to start off by mentioning that I am not a regular poster here, nor have I ever been diagnosed with any mental illness. But something has recently happened that has pushed me to consult you. I am at a total loss for answers. I've made my best effort to recollect all the details for you below. Around 2 weeks ago, on December 5th to be exact, I was coming home from visiting my brother. I was driving down Interstate 295, and I went onto Interstate 95. As I was driving down 95, I started feeling kind of cold and clammy. Not too intensely, just a soft, sick feeling permeating in the background. I turned the radio down and just ignored the feeling because I figured I just needed sleep or maybe I ate something bad. As I slowed down behind a car, I shut my eyes just for a few seconds to let them rest. However, when I opened them, the car in front was gone and I was now traveling on Route 1 in Delaware at a steady speed. I didn't fall asleep because I was listening to the radio and the same song was on. And even if I did miraculously drive down 95 while asleep, there's no way I could have merged onto Route 1. I kind of just felt weird about it, but went home and passed it off as some mental glitch. But it gets weirder. I called my brother the next morning to tell him about it because he's into hearing about strange happenings, but he has no recollection of me visiting him that night. We ate dinner, watched YouTube videos for hours, and talked about family. He says he relaxed in bed all night. After this event, things have felt different. And I feel like things have changed, and while I know some of what has changed, I can't put my finger on what was different about other things. My mother has allegedly smoked her whole life. But when I found her smoking the next time I saw her, I thought it had been a new thing. My girlfriend doesn't feel like my girlfriend. Something is very different about her. The way she looks and talks and walks, but I have no idea why. Colors feel more muted and gray. I feel like my life is completely different in a lot of small ways, and I'm scared that I am losing my mind.
In my home, as long as you were quiet, and on the first floor or the basement, which was completely finished into a second living room and my father's computer room, which no one was allowed to go in because of the computers and all of his silver. Anyways, you could be sitting on either level and listen to the footsteps above you just walking around like it was nothing. You could sit there and listen to someone walk to the stairs and walk down the stairs and watch as nothing actually came down the stairs. It drove my dogs nuts because they would be laying there and then the footsteps would happen and it would wake them up and they would look at where the footsteps were happening.
Something similar to this happened at my family's old beach house. Won't Greentext because most of it is from others' accounts because I never heard it myself when I was there. It was a beach house in Delaware that my grandfather built and loved to be in because he was an outdoorsman and loved hunting and fishing. The original floor plan had 3 downstairs bedrooms with a huge upstairs that had 5 twin beds in a large room, with an adjacent bedroom with 1 double or king bed. My mother, aunt, and cousins all told me several times that they would hear footsteps walking around upstairs in the big bedrooms, where the kids usually slept. My mom and aunt would hear the steps at random times when they were on the main floor, but my cousin had heard footsteps coming up the staircase, then turn and walk into the main big room where the 5 beds were. The only time she heard them was late at night around 2 to 3 a.m. To this day my mom and aunt believe it was my grandpa who was pissed off at his second wife for causing a shit ton of strife in the family, but I think it was where he had his happiest memories and knew his family would be there every summer. The house has since been sold, and I think they might have torn it down to optimize the lot space. I miss that place, spoopy footsteps and all.
1909, The Devil in Black of Georgetown, Delaware. More than 7 feet in height and swathed in a long black cloak, closely wrapped around its face. A new mystery has been exciting some parts of Georgetown, where it has followed women and young girls and jumped out from behind trees at them. The Devil in Black, as it is called, first appeared several nights ago. when a dozen or so persons saw it during the course of the evening. From behind a tree it jumped at Mrs. William Curdy and sent her screaming with fright into a neighbor's house, while a daughter of Joseph Carnell also was chased by the mysterious stranger until she fell almost fainting into Fred Rust's grocery store. The men of the neighborhood, informed of the affair, led by William Curdy, ran across fields, jumped fences and through backyards, with the devil but a few yards ahead of them. But, while crossing the big ditch known as the Savannah, the figure completely disappeared and, despite search, could not be found. Again it was seen by several young girls, and last night it made its appearance and was seen closely by Mrs. Carn Josephs, who heard a noise as she passed her woodshed. She turned to look and distinctly saw the devil walk out of the shed and after her. Almost fainting with fear, she ran screaming into the house, while her husband ran into the yard with his gun and fired at the tall figure, which was plainly distinguished at the woodshed. In a second it was gone with no trace of injury from the gun. Many superstitious declare that bullets cannot hit it, but some of the more determined men declare it is the work of a practical joker and expect to put a load of shot into it at their first opportunity.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
The Devil's Road is near the Pennsylvania-Delaware border.
The Devil's Road and the Cult House. There's a wood in southeastern Pennsylvania, right on the Delaware border, whose legendary status has even made it into a summer blockbuster movie. True, the movie in question, The Village, was written and directed by a local boy, M. Night Shyamalan. But when an A-list Hollywood director brings a wood full of misshapen trees into the Cineplex, you know the legend has legs. The Devil's Road winds a couple of miles through the woods just north of the Delaware border in Chadds Ford. It is better known to map readers as Cossart Road, and has enjoyed a reputation for its general aura of evil for decades. It's particularly famous in the triangle of towns between Wilmington, Philadelphia, and Coatesville. But although the exact location is often misreported as somewhere in northern Delaware, all the stories agree on one point: the trees that line this narrow, winding avenue bend away from the pavement as if recoiling from something unspeakable. Further into the woods, they say, up a densely wooded hillside, stands a massive stone mansion known as the Cult House, which Delaware residents insist was once owned by a member of the DuPont family. The Cult House naturally housed a cult of some kind, as the story goes, but the nature of its ceremonies remains vague even by the standards of the local rumor mill. Fans of plutocratic conspiracy theories spin wild stories of DuPont family members marrying their cousins in the house, so that the family's wealth would stay in the family, and then using the place to hide any inbred spawn these unnatural unions produced. The less fanciful rumors fall back on the old favorites, Satanists, and the Ku Klux Klan. The house's windows are said to be cross-shaped or among the camp that believes in the Satanist rumors. Inverted cross-shaped. But it's getting harder and harder to explore the Devil's Road. For one thing, the street signs have been removed from Kennett Pike, so it's easy to miss the Cossart Road turn, or to mistakenly turn into a private road called Cossart Manor Drive a few miles up the pike. Even if you find the road, you'll find it liberally posted with no stopping and no trespassing signs on the trees. The legend of the road has been repeated so often in the past 40 years that literally hundreds of noisy explorers would belt up the road by night, disturbing the residents, spray painting everything in sight, and driving recklessly. The usual obnoxious behavior was bad enough, but it escalated into vandalism and dangerous stunts such as cross-burning that forced the township and police into a strong reaction. A barricade went up with no trespassing signs and threats of heavy fines. Police and private security guards began regular patrols along the lane, which probably accounts for the many tales of visitors being chased down the road. So we'd advise people to tread with caution when they think about treading down the darkness of the Devil's Road. Don't pull over on the dark and winding road unless you want to get rear-ended by some other thrill seekers or ticketed for parking in a no-stopping zone, and certainly don't start tramping through private property if your fear of being arrested is greater than your fear of mysterious places. After all, you can always get a good look at the woods in the village instead of in real life. Cult House. When I was in high school, there was one particularly prevalent story about a mansion located in the woods of the Brandywine Valley. This house was actually just north of the Pennsylvania border. Everyone called it Cult House. Now, I'm not sure how this rumor started. I do know that some of my friends' fathers could remember the same story involving the same location being told when they were in high school. According to local legend, this mansion is supposedly owned and operated by a satanic cult. In some versions, the cult is associated with a prominent Delaware family involved in the chemical industry. The window panes are in the shape of inverted crosses. The trees that line the road running along the side of the house grow at a very distinct angle away from the house and some areas away from their main light source. Most interestingly, there is a guardhouse on the grounds that houses a fleet of red pickup trucks. If you drive past the house too often, one or several of the trucks will come out of the house and chase you away. No matter how close it gets, you will never be able to catch a glimpse of the driver's face. There is one particular tree along the road that runs past the house that has exposed roots. The roots form the perfect shape of a human skull. It is said that years ago, police found the remains of a sacrificial victim nestled inside the tree. Reports conflict on whether the victim was human or animal. According to the legend, a human sacrifice is performed on the grounds every Halloween. Well, that's the rumor. Here is my personal experience with Cult House. The window panes actually are in the shape of inverted crosses. This seems to be not necessarily intentional. It may just be how those particular panes are shaped. The trees do grow at an extreme angle away from the house. I've never seen trees grow so off-kilter before. In some places they do seem to grow away from the main light source. This phenomena stops once you get about a quarter-mile past the house. There is a guardhouse and there are red trucks. They have actually followed me before on 2 occasions. The first was at night, and the truck's lights were off. This is amazing, because there are no streetlights, and the trees allow in no moonlight. I couldn't understand how the driver was able to even stay on the road. I was behind it at first. The truck pulled over and waited for me to pass. It then pulled out and followed me until I was several miles from the house. I had one passenger in the car, and you can imagine the state we were in. We were scared to death, but really excited. The next time was also at night, but with a different friend. After we had driven past the guardhouse several times, we noticed that we were being followed by a red truck. We hadn't seen it even come onto the road. We never saw the driver's face. Again, we were followed until we were several miles from the house. Then the truck just pulled over to the side of the road. Again, the headlights were off. I have never seen anyone entering or exiting the main house or the guardhouse. I know the trucks are housed at the guardhouse, because at least 5 are usually visible in the driveway. The skull tree does look frighteningly like a human skull. I have never found any newspaper accounts confirming that remains of any kind were found in the tree. I have been able to find absolutely no evidence of sacrificial rites being performed during Halloween or at other times, according to local records. I have also, up to this point, been unsuccessful in trying to dig up deeds or any type of records of transfers for the property.
On Bended Tree, there is a legend about a road nicknamed Devil's Road, located off of Route 202 by Concord Pike. As rumor has it, there is a house or church used to perform satanic rituals and such. At the beginning of the road, there are 2 arrow-shaped pickets known to many as the gates of hell. On this road, the trees are bent away from the church, and there are many trees spray-painted with the number 666, and many other disturbing words and images. There is a gate to the side of the road, and off that road behind the gate is the church. I have been on this road many times, and the only strange thing I saw was on Mischief Night, the night before Halloween, when myself and my friends saw shadowy, orange lights lighting up the house. I am pretty sure that it was candlelight, but we did not want to make any assumptions. CICI.
Devil worship and dead animals. Driving down the road toward the mansion, we noticed a pile of dead animals, mostly raccoons, slit from throat to genitals and completely gutted. It was like there was just a frame of the animal left. When we finally approached the mansion, I was even more disgusted. Hanging from the black iron gate were more carcasses like the ones we'd just seen. It's also said that if you go at night, you can hear the satanic worshiping that goes on inside, word for word. Fortunately, we were there during the day. Brook Meadows.
Chased by Satan on his very own road.
Satan Road, as it is affectionately known, is a condemned road off Route 100 in Delaware. Its entrance is easy to miss. Despite the bright orange warning signs, because of the way 100 bends and because of the overgrowth of the area, the state has attempted to blockade the road with signs that threaten a $1,000 penalty to trespassers. But this has not stopped nosy teens. The entryway and most of the first half of the road is so overgrown with trees and vines that it resembles a tunnel. Once you start down the road, there is no turning back. It is very windy, and despite being a 2-lane road, is uncomfortably narrow for even a single car. About halfway down the road, you come around one of the bends and you see it plain as day and indisputable. The Cult House. All the trees near it grow up a few feet, then they all turn at an angle so sharp that they are almost parallel to the ground. Always away from the house. It's not just 2 or 3 trees. It's every tree for several hundred feet. To the right of the road is a wall of rock covered in pentagrams. The house itself sits back from the road and very few have the nerve to walk up to it. The Satan worshippers wait for your arrival at the entrance to the road in a black SUV. As soon as you start to slow down and turn, they turn on their headlights, pop out from hiding, and chase you out to a bridge on Route 100. I myself have been chased once by the SUV and have seen some sort of eerie bright blue flash when we were about to enter the road that scared us enough to not even bother with the road that night. Greg H.
Run when you see the whites of their eyes. I hail from the great town of Broomall, Pennsylvania, Delaware County. If anyone has written from my area, it's probably been about Satanville. Located just off of Route 1 just past Concordville and just before the Brandywine Civil War Museum. All my life I've heard the stories about the place. Sometimes called Hell's House, it is actually an old church in the middle of a field, not easily accessible. You go down this road where the trees bend completely away from the road. Legend has it that the devil, in a fit of rage, let out a ear-piercing scream down the road one night. And from that point on the trees have grown away from it. Furthermore, down this road is Skull Tree. A tree that looks like, well, a large human skull. Now comes the tricky part, finding the church. We followed the road around for at least 2 hours until we found the gate leading back to the church. Of course, the road is completely littered with KKK and devil worshipper graffiti. The gate was secured with a fresh padlock, and the path leading back to the church was extremely overgrown, thus my Bronco would not have fit. You definitely need a Jeep or just to go on foot. Just around the time of finding the gate, a car passed us. The drivers' faces were completely white with dark hair, sporting the gothic look. Their eyes were also white, like perhaps they were rolled up all the way. Needless to say, we were out of there like a bat out of hell. Numerous people, including close friends, have been there. Usually you get chased away by black pickup trucks or black Broncos that chase you to the exit before veering off. Steve. Tuning into Satan's signal.
I've heard a story about a Bible inside a black church on Devil's Road. It won't let you take it out because it gets too heavy. I've also heard that there's a certain radio station that plays music that they play in the background during their rituals. I heard the station once. It was faint and hard to pick up. Some say they broadcast it on only a powerful enough signal so the worshippers hear it and go to meet up. Danae.
Chased off of Devil's Road.
I have been on Devil's Road numerous times, at least 100. I have been up to the Devil's House. The roof is lined with metal crows all facing in the same direction. And there is a white cement bench in the front yard with a demon's face perfectly carved on it. People really do chase you out of there. I remember one time around 2 p.m. I was driving with one of my friends on Devil's Road and a black SUV sped up behind us, then turned into the woods. There was no dirt road or anything. It just turned right into the woods. Then the next thing I knew, he was coming full speed right towards us. One time when there was a full moon, I could see a fire, and the outlines of about 12 to 15 people standing in a circle around it. Then I got chased off by 2 Bronco SUVs. Stephanie.
So I'm from Lower Newcastle, Delaware, and there's a lot of dense woodlands and country here mixed in with farmland. I have a core group of friends that I trust with my life. I have a friend that I'll call Jay. He used to have a lot of farmland with plenty of woods around it and not many houses nearby. His house was built on a 1700s frame, and he told us all about how things would fly off shelves and smash or just disappear entirely. Jay is a trustworthy friend of mine and not easily swayed. One time my other friend and I, along with a few others, were over for a bonfire. I'll call my other friend B. They headed out to get more bonfire and assorted bottles to drink by the fire. When they came back, B got out of the car carrying a crate of unnamed glass bottles. Now B is a steadfast man and not one to get scared or concerned easily, but when he saw what, he stopped dead in his tracks. He swears a smoky figure like a woman was staring down at the fire, completely still, like it was observing something. He looked closer and saw that it had no legs and ended in smoke. When he dropped the case of bottles and wood and cursed something harsh, the figure snapped up and stared right at him. Bright orange eyes like candles, he said. The thing turned and dissipated into smoke. He jumped into the car, leaving the bottles behind, and drove up as fast as he could. When he arrived, the fire was down to embers, and he never forgot the details, no matter how drunk he was. He only told the story drunk because he doubted we'd believe him in the first place. He still hardly talks about it. Out of our whole group, I'm one of the only ones he has told the whole story to. Jay doesn't live in the property anymore, and he's glad he can live without the strange things that go on there. We don't go to those woods anymore.
The legend of the Mhuwe originates from the Native American tribe from which the state takes its name. Native Languages describes the monster as such. Mhuwe is a man-eating ice giant of Lenape legend, like the Wendigo of the Ojibwe and Cree tribes. Not many tales of Mhuwe were ever recorded, but like the better-known Wendigo, Mhuwe was a fearsome monster associated with starvation, cannibalism, and sin. A person who tasted human flesh or went mad from the cold might turn into a Mhuwe, and in at least one Lenape legend, a Mhuwe monster that is treated kindly and given civilized food to eat can be turned back into a human.
Since the early 1960s, legend has it that a grotesque creature known as the Selbyville Swamp Monster lurks in the murky terrain of the Great Cypress Swamp in Selbyville, Delaware. Whether you believe in the legends or not, there may be a more obvious explanation to the fabled tale. Over 40 years ago, Ralph Grapperhaus, the appreciated editor of the Delmarva News, willingly admitted to creating the hoax, producing the story of a monster that inhabited the Great Cypress Swamp. He even went so far as to have a friend dress up and play the role of the Yeti-like creature. The costume was made by the actor, Fred Stevens, using his Aunt Dorothy's old raccoon hat, a scary mask, and club. Stevens would hide in the shallows of the woods, then jump out at passing cars on Route 54. A local legend soon unfolded. The two held on to the hoax for years, and the news of the alleged beast sightings spread like wildfire around central Sussex County. A photo of the Selbyville Swamp Monster even made the front page of the Delmarva News on April 23, 1964. It wasn't long before several other local news agencies got a hold of the story, fueling the monster frenzy. Stevens, then 26, even went as far as participating in the hunt to locate the enigmatic creature of the Great Cypress Swamp. The prank continued for months until eventually Stevens feared for his own safety. However, it wasn't until 23 years later in 1987 that Stevens revealed his hidden role and the secret he and Ralph Grapperhaus had kept for so many years. Oddly, residents continued to report sightings of a monster even after Stevens ceased the charade. Even stranger is the fact that Stevens hasn't played the Selbyville Swamp Monster since 1964, lending many to still believe that a creature rambles the woods of the Great Cypress Swamp. So are we sure the Selbyville Swamp Monster was entirely a hoax? Salisbury author Andy Nunez references the local swamp monster in his book, Mysteries of the Eastern Shore. Although many believe the rumors have since been dismissed, Nunez and many other local Eastern Shore natives won't be ruling out the possibility anytime soon. In fact, strange sightings and happenings in the swamp were reported long before Stevens and Ralph Grapperhaus's swindle. In the 1920s, a couple of hunters reported hearing loud, inhuman screaming followed by sounds of something very large and heavy racing towards them.
The Zwanendale Museum is modeled after a 17th-century Netherlands town hall and offers a showcase for Lewes area history. But its most popular exhibit has nothing to do with Lewes Revolutionary War or maritime heritage. It's a monstrosity named the Fiji Merman, lounging on a royal blue velvet cushion, safely separated from the non-monster world in a glass box within a glass box. The mummified foot-long creature was given to a prominent Lewes family by an old sea captain, after nearly a century of foster care. The family loaned it to the Zwanendale Museum in 1941, when the last family member died in 1985. The citizens of Lewes banded together and bought the Merman for $250. Nobody wanted him to go, said museum director Andrea Anderson. She added that the Merman is still much beloved by the town and that local kids call him Monkeyfish.
Living with siblings in my grandmother's house. Little brother is upstairs retrieving something for sisters. Hear a loud bang at the foot of the stairs. Everyone goes to see what happened. Brother is there, says he felt he was lifted then pushed down the stairs. We pull up his shirt. There are 2 red handprints on his back. He was the only one upstairs. This happened 8 years ago. According to our mother, a ghost followed her and our grandmother from Michigan to Delaware. Another story, something that happened a month ago. Me, brother, and friend are in my car, driving close to home at night. Driving past a cemetery and church. There is a flash on my side, and something impacts my window. Holy hell. Turn around, speed to the church's parking lot. Brother and friend ready to kick some ass. Start scouring the graveyard. I fall behind, start feeling anxious. Constantly hear sounds behind me, like something large is quickly scurrying behind the headstones in the grass. Nothing's there, not even grass. It's happening all around. Here ahead of me, shit. Brother and friend are running back to me. We leave. Apparently the same thing was happening to them, too. So I wasn't just being crazy and paranoid. We took a look at what hit our car. It was an egg. Someone probably shot it from a potato cannon, but the graveyard is creepy as hell.
Lewis, the neighborhood of Bay Oaks. In this newly built neighborhood, sightings of orbs and streaks of light have been reported. This Bayside area is believed to be a historical location at which a massacre occurred between the Indians and Dutch settlers. In this massacre, Indians slaughtered the newly settled Dutch, leaving behind artifacts such as Dutch pottery and arrowheads that have been recently found by new homeowners. Only the residents of Dutch ancestry sense the ghost's presence or experience the symptoms that usually accompany the presence of ghosts who may still be in search of eternal rest. Certain symptoms that have been reported are cold spots that are walked in and out of, not near an air vent or window, feeling of being watched or that someone is in the room with you, globes of light, the disappearing and reappearing of ghost-related books about hauntings in the area, and one teenage resident has reported waking up choking with the sensation of a hand around their neck, then seeing the ghostly hand pull away. This area is under paranormal investigation at this time.
Newark, the Valley, a long and windy road near the Pike Creek area that many have sighted eyes, heard screams at night, had things run in front of their cars, seen things chasing their cars. Accidents are a near miss on this dark and creepy road. The trees that line it seem to follow you and bend down towards your passing car. The woods seem to move with you instead of being passed. Keep your eyes open and your foot on the brake while driving this haunted road. There is also somewhere on this road a tree said to have had an abandoned baby placed in it to die. Sometimes if brave passers-by stop, they can hear the tree a-crying. The distinct sound of an infant crying in the darkness surrounds visitors.
Newark, Cooch's Bridge, first battle of the American Revolution where the Stars and Stripes was flown in battle. Delaware militiamen were delaying the British forces who landed at Turkey Point in Maryland so as to give General Washington time to escape from Philadelphia. One legend states that during the initial skirmish between the militia and the Redcoats, a British soldier got his head shot off. On foggy moonless nights, people claim to see a headless British soldier walking along the roads in the area. There are many other stories associated with the area.
Kent County, Woodland, Woodland Beach. Early 19,000s Woodland Beach had a boardwalk and other attractions. All that stands now of the former boardwalk is the pier ties in the water, but on a well-lit night of the full moon, you can see figures walking over the water where the boardwalk used to be, maybe waiting to get on the ferry that no longer travels from there. There is mostly home put in the Woodland area now, but the beach is open to the public, but keep in mind the water can rise over the bridge that leads to the beach.
Cape Henlopen State Park is said to be the origin of the corpse light, a mysterious phantom light with no discernible source. There is no lighthouse at Cape Henlopen, yet people often see lights flashing from the location. The light was allegedly a curse from a local Native American tribe. After British soldiers stormed a wedding ceremony and massacred many guests, the tribe conjured up the light as a means to lure ships to doom. The corpse light actually has fulfilled its promise historically. It sank a ship known as the Devonshireman on Christmas Day 1665. The ship, following the beams from the non-existent lighthouse, crashed into a shaft of stone instead. More than 200 men died in the wreck. Some say the ghost ship periodically reappears to reenact the famous crash.
During the Civil War, Fort Delaware, found on the Delaware River's Pea Patch Island, was originally a prison for Civil War soldiers, notorious for its atrocious conditions. Prisoners were housed in wooden barracks and given only small food rations, as well as dirty water. Sometimes, rats were even thrown into the crowd, which starving prisoners devoured in desperation. About 2,700 men died in the prison and, unsurprisingly, their spirits are rumored to remain on Fort Delaware's grounds. The fort offers tours for those interested in its rich history, and guests often report paranormal experiences. People have felt an eerie presence and also heard ghosts of prisoners poking around making noise throughout the fort's walls.
The governor's mansion, also called Woodburn, was built in the 1790s by Charles Hilliard III and was the official home of Delaware's governors for decades. It still stands in Dover, Delaware and is open to tours. Ghost stories regarding the mansion go back hundreds of years and guests still report seeing paranormal phenomena today. The first ghost story occurred 25 years after the house was constructed, after Charles Hilliard III had passed away. According to the story, the house's then owners invited a Methodist preacher to stay with them. While conducting prayer before breakfast one morning, the preacher said they should wait for the other guests staying in the guest house to join them. The couple said no one else was visiting, and the preacher then described his temporary roommate in great detail. His description matched what Hilliard looked like in life perfectly. Apparently, Hilliard and other spirits still linger in the mansion. If you leave Mr. Hilliard, the original owner, a glass of wine on the stairs, legend has it that you'll find it drained in the morning. Mr. Hilliard is not the only ghost at the mansion. Years ago, a slave running away from slave hunters was caught and killed near the mansion's porch. Guests sometimes still hear his screams. There have also been reports of a young girl dressed in a gingham dress and a bonnet roaming the grounds carrying a candle.
Actually, it's Delaware that doesn't exist. It's made up for corporate law like shell companies. Have you ever met a person from Delaware in real life?
This is true. My employer filed taxes in Delaware. Since Delaware doesn't exist, the only state tax we actually pay is our share of what's needed to satisfy federal taxes that Delaware pays. It's quite satisfying in a smug kind of way knowing the IRS believes Delaware really exists. In reality, my employer operates in Kentucky. It's quite the open secret in some industries too. No need for hushed lips since few would believe such an outrageous claim as an entire fiction state. Oh, and fun fact about Delaware. Guess why the U.S. no longer has drafts? Because the Vietnam War drafts were such a debacle. This couldn't be farther from the truth. The U.S. would have loved to continue the drafts as a cheaper method to acquire military personnel. Why doesn't this happen anymore, and how could it possibly relate to Delaware? Quite a few federal people in the branch industry weren't well prepared to cover and noticed something troubling during the draft. There was no paperwork on enlisted men from Delaware. Well, actually, there was that one officer, the son of a certain Fortune 500 board member I won't name because of reasons, who listed himself from Delaware on his enlistment as a joke. A single man's paperwork didn't cut it though. The whole situation was quite the hair puller and almost ended our fabricated legal loophole. If there's an undeniable reason to believe in the supernatural, this would be it. Continuing the Delaware myth through this draft was a testament to the sheer force of will possessed by industry leaders of the day. Even then, the feat defies what seems possible through mere materialistic means. All in all, enjoy your cushy life not involving another draft every generation, and thank corporate America's influence for it. Of course, you can also thank corporate America for starting some of those wars in the first place, but that's another story for another time on another board.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.